Welcome to an ultra mini version of Youth Change's At-Risk Students. Everything you need to know. You're going to get a very quick peek into the 1-hour version of this class that comes with clock hours. My name is Ruth Herman Wells. I'm the Director of Youth Change Workshops, and my contact information is shown on the slide in front of you. You're in good hands. Youth Change wrote the book on problem kids, and as you can tell, we teach the class. And on the slide, you can see some more information about what we do. But let's go ahead and dive into the content. At-risk students struggle for a variety of reasons. But the reason that teachers often struggle so much to work with this population is that teacher training often includes so little practical preparation for managing students' emotional, social, and behavioral problems. In our live workshops, we like to joke that we wish we could turn teachers into instant mental health experts. And all joking aside, there's some seriousness there, that the kinds of emotional problems and social and behavior problems that come in with kids each morning into that classroom really demand more training than teachers are given. The typical teacher's training is 80% on content, 20% on human factors. And that's why all of our courses really zero in not on the content, but on the human factors that make it so difficult to provide instruction. Very few schools in the U.S. have a formal plan to teach kids to be students. So kids that are at risk, that have special challenges, that are new immigrants, that are English language learners, that are in crisis, that face trauma, the list of these kinds of kids goes on and on and on. These kids really end up especially unprepared to learn the nuances of how do you be a student. Do you have to show up every day? Do you have to have your eyes on the teacher? Do you have to talk? Do you have to do your work? Is it okay to come in late? All those kinds of things that we expect kids to do, we don't have a game plan to teach. Yes, years ago, moms and dads taught that, but that's not so much a guarantee in our contemporary times. So we expect all kids to do what I call self-train to be students, even kids like at-risk students who have special challenges. That's why so many of these kids struggle. We're expecting them to perform behaviors, have attitudes and skills maybe no one has ever taught them. If you're using one-size-fits-all interventions with all your at-risk students, you probably have already found out that one size fits no one. We like to teach that there might be 4 kinds of at-risk kids out there, and that you have to match your strategies to fit the reason that the child is struggling. And you can kind of tell from the illustrations a little bit about each of the 4 groups shown in front of you. There's anxious and traumatized youngsters. There's what we call anti-school youngsters, who really blame all their problems and all their bad behavior on that teacher, principal, and school. When you think at risk, you may think unmotivated, and some of the time you're going to be right. The 4th child that can be at risk is a distracted student whose mom maybe says, you got to stay home today and watch the little kids and run some errands. It makes it tough to concentrate on school when you're needing to be elsewhere. Other kids in this group would be kids that have to work and be employed at times that may conflict. They may have to caretake a parent or a grandparent or have other home responsibilities that happen at the same time as school. But the bottom line that I want you to hear is that unless you're tailoring your interventions to fit the reason the child struggles, you're going to find that nothing's working. It would be like expecting all your students to use just one textbook. It would work great for some and not at all for others. And that's perhaps what you've been experiencing if you're using generic interventions to help at-risk kids. I'm about to show you some interventions for each of our 4 kinds of students. In longer classes, we give lots and lots of strategies for each kind, but in this very brief mini professional development, I'll get you at least one for each kind. Here's some strategies that work well with groups number 1 and 3, our anxious and traumatized students, as well as our unmotivated students. The intervention at the left says this is what life is like if you can't read. The intervention at center says numbers count, can you? For the child who is anxious and traumatized, at times that they're stable, it's okay to create a sense of urgency so they know they can't just shut down whenever they want as an adult. And these motivational devices do that. They let the child kind of know that, gosh, if I go through life shutting down, not working, or not showing up, that will be problematic. But again, with this population, these are interventions you use at the times that the child is stabilized, not when they're mid-crisis or having some particular difficulty. These are such great motivational devices that they're also a nice match for the kid in group number 3, our unmotivated students. And note that these can be used as worksheets, as posters, as activities, and in many other ways. For example, on the numbers count poster, you can have an activity of asking students to list all the things you need to do with math to get through the day as an adult. And you could even end up discussing, can you make it through the day without math once you're an adult? This device is really intended for group number 2, anti-school students who blame school and teachers and staff for their acting out behaviors. Since this worksheet shows students that their behavior problems at school aren't actually caused by the staff, it's a really good device to use with anti-school students who just really love to keep the conversation focused on whether or not they did something rather than having to accept responsibility for their behavior. Interventions that are just pure verbiage tend to fail with this population, and interventions that use other modalities will get you a whole lot farther with this youngster that can be fairly manipulative and sometimes a little bit smarter and more clever and more verbose than perhaps you might prefer. Distracted students who have competing obligations or responsibilities or interests elsewhere are often your absent or tardy student. And so this intervention is kind of a lighter way of starting to get that youngster to see that this tendency to be missing or late is going to not play out really well in the long run, especially in the adult world. And so this help wanted ad is called Get Paid Great to Arrive Late. If you've made a career out of being late, we urgently need your special skills. Prior experience missing deadlines required. On-time applications not accepted. So it's really important to not assume that at-risk students have what we call school skills, those skills that every youngster is supposed to have to make it through the education system. Even basic things, and things that you think should be the parents' responsibility, like getting their youngster to school on time. You may have to teach those skills if you want to actually see those skills in your classroom. Bottom line, if you want a skill, you may have to teach it first, no matter who maybe should have been doing that job. I hope you've enjoyed this quick peek into our strategies for the 4 kinds of at-risk students. If you've liked this tiny sampler of Youth Change's online classes, then check out the full version of At-Risk Students, Everything You Need to Know. Plus, we have more courses with free clock hours and $44 college grad credit. Plus, our courses come with a free workbook of the posters and worksheets. Many of the ones you've just seen actually are included. If you want more information, go to our website, youthchg.com/webinar. .html. And you can see that web page path on the screen in front of you. If you need additional help, we have live workshops, we have books, ebooks, posters, college credit, clock hours, distance learning, and even workshops that go right to your school, agency, or conference. Our contact information is shown at the top right, including our toll-free line. We can help.